Welcome back to the Fundamentals of Fitness, the podcast where we strip away the noise, the guilt, and the unrealistic expectations around health and fitness and focus on what actually works in real life. I'm Alison, your no-nonsense coach, and today we're talking about something that makes people panic and change everything way too soon, when results slow down. Because most people expect progress to keep happening at the same speed forever, and when it doesn't, they assume they've hit a wall, they're doing it wrong, or their body has stopped working. But the truth is that results slowing down is often a normal part of the process. So pop on them trainers and grab that cuppa and let's get right into it today. So let's start with this thing nobody explains properly. The beginning of a fitness journey often gives you what I call early wins. And early wins are a bit misleading because they create the expectation that if I do the work, I should get obvious results every week. So what are these early wins? And the early wins usually come from water shifts, especially if you change carbs, salt, stress, alcohol, or processed foods. Reduced inflammation from better sleep, hydration, and routine. The fact that doing anything consistently is a huge change if you've been inconsistent before. And sometimes a burst of motivation that makes you unusually active without even noticing. So early on, the scale can drop quickly, your body can feel different quickly, and you think, this is it, I've cracked it. But then a few weeks later, it slows down, and your brain goes, oh no, it's stopped working. But it hasn't stopped working. What happened is that you've moved from obvious progress phase into the real progress phase, the phase that isn't driven by novelty and big swings. Now, I want to normalize something here. If your progress slows down after a few weeks, that is not proof you're failing. It's proof you're no longer in the free bonus results stage. And that's where people either stay steady and build something that lasts, or panic, overcorrect, and start the stop-start cycle again. So how do athletes do it? And if you look at sport, whether it's Formula One, swimming, golf, rowing, tennis, nobody expects linear improvement week after week forever. Athletes expect plateaus, consolidation phases, adaptation periods, and small margins over long timeframes. They don't respond to a plateau by binning the whole plan every 7 days. They zoom out, check the basics, and make a measured adjustment. That's exactly the mindset we want here, without you needing to live like a full-time athlete. Your key takeaway is that your body isn't broken. Your expectations were just trained by the early wins phase. Now let's get into the actual why. Because once you understand the reasons, you stop reacting emotionally and you start responding strategically. Reason 1, your body adapts. That's literally the point. When you repeat the same training stimulus, your body becomes more efficient at handling it. That's adaptation. And at first, your heart rate spikes more, you're sore for longer, and it takes more out of you. And then later, you recover quicker, you become more skilled and efficient. You burn fewer calories doing the same session because you're better at it. People hate hearing the last bit, but it's normal. The goal of the body is efficiency. Always. Reason 2, the cost of movement drops as you get fitter. And when you start exercising, everything feels harder. You breathe harder, you sweat more, you feel like it must be burning loads. And as you get fitter, the same workout can feel easier, which is great. But it means your overall energy burn for that session might not be as dramatic as it was at the start. And this is why people sometimes say, I'm working harder than ever and getting less results. They're not working harder, they're working more consistently, but their body is handling it better. So the feeling of effort isn't always a reliable fat loss signal. Reason 3, NEAT quietly drops without you noticing. NEAT is all the movement you do outside of training, so walking around, fidgeting, chores, general daily activity. And when you add training, some people unconsciously sit more, rest more, move less outside of the gym. Not because they're lazy, but because their body is balancing energy. So they add workouts but lose daily movement, and the net change is smaller than expected. This is one of the biggest invisible reasons results slow down. Reason 4, you're eating a bit more than you think, or your tracking has drifted. This is not blame, it's normal. Over time, portions can creep up and weekends loosen, bites and tastes increase, and healthy extras sneak in. And if results slow, people often swear nothing has changed. Usually something has. It's just subtle. And reason 5, water masks fat loss. This one is huge for women especially, but honestly, it affects everybody. Water retention can be affected by menstrual cycle, stress, sleep, inflammation from training, salt and carbs, travel, alcohol. So you can be losing fat and still see a flat scale, a slightly higher scale, or nothing happening. And this is where people blow everything up unnecessarily. I see this all the time with clients who are training well and doing the right things. Then they have a stressful week at work, sleep is off, maybe they're a little bit more sore, and the scale stalls. They immediately assume they need to cut the calories. But what they actually need is sleep, patience, consistency, and to stop using one weekly weigh-in as a verdict. The takeaway from this is that results slow down because your body adapts, your movement patterns change, and water can mask fat loss, not because you failed. So what do most people do when results slow and why it backfires? This is the point in the process where good intentions cause the most damage, because when results slow, people don't usually stop trying. They just try harder. And that's where things start to unravel. Mistake 1, slashing calories further. This is the most common response. The scale will slow down, so the immediate thought is, I need to eat less. So people cut portion sizes, skip meals, remove carbs, or tighten the rules. In the short term, that can create movement on the scale, but it often comes at a cost. Lower energy, worse recovery, higher stress, more cravings, which usually leads to inconsistent weeks, reactive eating, burnout, and eventually a rebound. Cutting harder is often not a strategy, it's a stress response. Mistake 2, adding more training without changing anything else. This one sounds productive, and people think, I'll just add another session, I'll do more cardio, I'll train harder. But training is a stress, and if sleep isn't great, recovery is limited, and life stress is high, adding more stress often makes things worse, not better. You might see more soreness, poorer performance, higher fatigue, and water retention masking fat loss, which then reinforces the belief that nothing is working. Mistake 3, changing the plan too frequently. And this one is subtle but very damaging. People start switching programs, hopping between methods, and constantly optimizing. The problem is adaptation takes time, and if you change inputs every 2 to 3 weeks, your body never fully adapts to anything. It's like planting seeds and digging them up to check if they're growing. You don't need a better plan. You need enough time with one plan. Mistake 4, using emotion as data. This shows up as, I feel like it's not working. I feel heavier. I feel stuck. Feelings matter, but they're not always accurate indicators of progress. Stress, hormones, fatigue, and life load all affect perception. Responding to feelings instead of patterns often leads to unnecessary changes. If an athlete hits a plateau, whether that's a swimmer, a rower, a golfer, anyone, they don't panic. They don't rip everything up immediately. They assess, they look for trends, they adjust one variable, then they wait long enough to see the effect. That restraint is a skill, and it's one most general population fitness plans never teach. When results slow, the instinct is to do more or eat less, but the smarter response is usually to pause, assess, and make one small, measured change. So if panic reactions don't work, then what does? And this is where we get practical and calm. Step 1. Zoom out before you zoom in. The first thing to do is widen your lens. Instead of looking at one way in, 1 week, one off session, ask yourself, what's been happening over the last 3 to 4 weeks? Has my behaviour been broadly consistent? Has my recovery changed? Has my daily movement shifted? Trends matter. Single data points rarely do. Step 2. Audit before adjusting. Before changing anything, check your sleep, check your stress, check your daily movement or NEAT, check your weekend patterns, check your portion sizes. Very often, the solution isn't doing more, it's tightening something that's drifted. That's refinement, not restriction. Step 3. Change one variable at a time. If an adjustment is needed, it should be small, specific, and intentional. An example could be a slight increase in daily steps, or a modest calorie adjustment, or one additional quality session, not 3, or improving sleep consistency, not slashing food, doubling cardio, and changing the entire program. Step 4. Hold long enough to see the effect. And this can be the hardest part. Once you change something, you need to hold it for long enough, resist the urge to interfere, and let the body respond. This might mean 2 to 4 weeks before anything obvious shows up. That waiting period is not passive, it's part of the process. And I can see this constantly with my clients. They'll be doing really well and then results slow slightly, and then they assume the answer is to push harder. But when we zoom out, what actually needs fixing is maybe sleep consistency, recovery, stress management, or expectations. And once those are addressed, progress resumes without the extremes. See, this isn't about trying harder, it's about responding smarter. Slower progress doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means your body is adapting and needs precision, not pressure. Before we finish today, I want you to pause and think about how you normally respond when your progress slows. Do you panic? Do you restrict? Do you add more? Or do you take a step back and assess? Because the difference between people who make long-term progress and people who keep restarting isn't effort, it's response. Plateaus are not a signal to blow everything up. They're a signal to zoom out, refine, and stay steady long enough for the adaptation to catch up. If this episode helped you understand why progress slows and what to do instead of panicking, I'd love you to share it with someone who might be questioning themselves right now. As always, thank you for listening and thank you for trusting me with your time. And remember, progress doesn't stop. It changes pace. See you next week.